prison rain. In the heat of battle, only one remains. In the final hour, when you hear the call, the courage to give your all. Stand or fall.
Supreme me with the taco supreme, supreme me, or a nacho supreme with the taste like heaven come to earth. Taco Bell Supreme, supreme me, burrito supreme, supreme me, South Taco Supreme. They start at 79. Supreme me one more time. Taco Bell Supremes, run for the border.
Get in gear.
Get in gear!
Get in gear.
Purse, keys, shoes.
Mom's helpers are scrambling to get to McDonald's to get one of 8 Barbie miniatures or 8 Hot Wheels Mini Streaks racers. Barbie is better than ever.
Barbie's cool. Look at Barbie twirl.
Fast new Mini Streaks racers ride on air.
Hot Wheels Mini Streaks are hot.
Kids get one toy with each $1.99 hamburger Happy Meal you buy them. Just $1.99. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Bet I have a pair like this at home.
Oh, I'm feeling hot, hot, hot. Go, 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 go. How you feeling? How you feeling?
Started fire. Caliente.
Here's the advertising idea on Wendy's new bacon cheddar cheeseburger.
We see clouds, and then a voice says, Wendy's new bacon cheddar cheeseburger, eat it.
That's it?
That's it.
Gee, I thought we'd show a quarter pound of fresh beef, 3 strips of bacon, and cheddar cheese sauce, all on a toasted Kaiser bun. You know, make people hungry, because it's a big sandwich.
Forget clouds.
What do you think about rocks?
Let me think about it.
Come try Wendy's new bacon cheddar cheeseburger.
Remember Patty Orban? Wow.
Sweetheart, dinner.
She couldn't compete with Mom's macaroni and cheese, though. Well, now you can get macaroni and cheese just like Mom used to make, only better. Welcome home to the healthier lean cuisine. Stouffer's makes it taste as good as you remember, but with less fat and salt. Whatever happened to Patty Orban? Stouffer's lean cuisine. Taste you can love for life.
With its drivers and passenger side airbags and automatic seatbelt tensioners, the Acura Legend is more than a luxurious choice. It's also a rather safe one.
Everyone calls me father, and I love a kid's cereal.
Brave adults wrestle with the notion that Kellogg's Frosted Flakes is just for kids.
I work with tigers. I never thought I'd love one.
That delectable frosting, that incredible crunch, no wonder adults never outgrow the taste.
Oh, I'm guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
It's no crime. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
Every day, you can count on the official U.S. Children's Munching Team training at your house. Count on Lucky every day to feed them with key buy savings, like assorted flavors of Dannon yogurt are just 2 for $1 for the 8-ounce size. A variety of Coca-Cola products, 12 packs of 12-ounce cans are just $2.69. And a variety of Laura Scudder's potato chips, just 79 cents for the twin pack. Record-setting savings. Count on that every day.
You know, there's real magic in Diet Pepsi. It's got that special aha ingredient. Now, if you don't believe old Ray, just crack one open and you'll see.
they got my pie. You know when it's right. You got the right one. You got the right one, baby.
Okay, girls, time to come back to Old Ray.
With 100% uh-huh.
1 week from tonight at a special time. Before the Last Crusade.
John!
Before the Temple of Doom.
Indiana Jones.
There was the original Indiana Jones adventure.
Shoot them both.
From the genius of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, you'll thrill to the action. You'll live for the danger. And you'll love the romance. Harrison Ford.
Trust me.
Karen Allen.
Are you crazy?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Next Sunday at a special time.
When it comes to making batteries that last, somebody's in high gear. Today's Duracell batteries can even outperform the ones we made just a few years back. You can't top the Comfort Top.
The Jewel of the Nile, starring Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito, returns in a moment. This week, Roseanne's on Wednesday, too.
Got me with my pants down.
And small town USA will never be the same.
So, this is what hell is like.
Hang on to your pom-poms.
Revenge is sweet.
When Roseanne takes to the gridiron in a league of her own. Backfield in Motion, Wednesday.
We took whole roasted almonds, covered them in pure milk chocolate, and a thin candy shell to get...
Ta-da! New M&M's almond chocolate candies.
The milk chocolate melts in your mouth.
Not in your hand. Sorry, fellas, I'm new here.
This fall,
I'm gonna be sick.
Nothing to play, lady.
some come to savor the tropical pleasures.
Fresh goat milk, would you like some?
Others come to study medicine.
You're here because none of you people were good enough to get into a school stateside.
Alex.
Where are you staying?
I'm staying where students stay, in a dorm.
There's no dorm.
Kathleen.
Is this the clinic?
You don't know what you're doing.
I've been here 24 hours and I have no training.
Kim.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to have your notes from last year?
I don't take notes.
Keep it all in your head?
Uh-huh.
Charlie.
Hey, that's my goat. I traded my stereo for that goat.
And Sharon.
Your dead goat chewed up my shoe, Moran.
It's about as far as you can go to become a doctor.
My wallet.
Going to extremes, coming this far.
I love what you do for me, Toyota. I love
what you do for me, Toyota.
The singing continues because your Toyota dealers want the deals to continue. The Love It Toyota sales event is still on. Get Celica and big option package savings. Get the #1 selling compact 4x4 pickup in America with big factory-to-dealer incentives. There's even great...
The Polaroid one-step flash with the new close-up lens. Now, under 30 buckaroos.
New from Cracker Barrel, 2 shining examples of award-winning taste. Creamy California Monterey Jack, and to spice things up, California Pepper Jack. Cracker Barrel, judged to be the best.
Watch your mouth, boy. There's a new temptation. Steak burrito Bel Grande. It's a steak sensation. You a Taco Bell, it'll make your mouth water for a steak sensation. Better run for the border. Tender and juicy, every bite an obsession. With crispy potatoes, tangy sauces, bring a cheddar cheese on steak burrito Bel Grande. Taco Bell's temptation. Run for the border. New steak sensation. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind. Your love was the key to my peace of mind. You make me feel. You make me feel. You make me feel like a natural woman.
Hi, Elmer.
Hi, Elmer.
I see you're eating Weedables.
Yep.
With special elf and seasonings?
Yep.
For an irresistibly snappy taste and crunch?
Yep.
People have been known to eat a whole box and not even know it.
Really?
Really? Well, gotta run.
Enjoy those Weedables, Elmer.
Thanks.
Hi, Elmer.
Hello, sir. Say, are Weedables really so irresistible you can eat a whole box and not even know it?
Well, hey, look at that. Huh? It's been known to happen. Keebler Weedables. They're irresistible.
Hey!
Introduce.
Welcome, everyone. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if it's as cold where you guys are right now, but here in Tennessee, it's cold, man, and windy. I don't mind it when it's cold, but when it's cold and windy, oh, man, that's a bitch. And, of course, we've recently come to terms. I probably should have learned earlier, but we've recently come to terms with the fact that I cannot run my heater down here and neon and lights and not. So, yeah, it's going to blow out a breaker. So, yeah, the jacket is being worn until it's no longer freezing down here. So, it's good to see everybody. I hope everybody has had a fantastic weekend so far. I know it's almost over. Glad I could spend its last leg with you guys, especially after St. Patty's Day being on Friday. I don't know how many of you guys partied and had a good time. I know Cherry had a great time this weekend. Cherry comes from Irish descent, and you know she had a blast all weekend, baby. Chloe Jade, thank you so much. I'm new. I can't wait to hear about the Reverend. Yeah. I was debating on whether or not I'm going to start talking about her, but I think I'm going to go into JLR first, because JLR, Jonatalia, Lee, Snitches, Britches, Bitches, whatever you want to call them, but Jonatalia stays. It's just too good. I wish I could take credit for that. And this is why I love having a great chat. Somebody in my chat, I don't remember who it was, but they deserve the credit for that. And it has stuck. So Jonatalia, you are forever. Actually, we're going to get into the whole Jonatalia stuff in just a minute. There's just something that I'm just going to address while I have a few people in here. I mean, why not? Why not just have a little fun? You know what I mean? Why not just have a little fun? So I got curious and I started watching for those of you who have been with me for a long time, you know of the, now you remember the other day, earlier in the afternoon, I did talk about the Sophie Long thing. And I gave some very strong opinions, and that in the way that I presented those opinions, I may have turned a few new people off. Sorry, but yeah, I guess a lot of people don't like when a man uses the C word. But we like the C word in here. Just ask Jerry. We like the C word in here, and it gets used often, and it is not only used on ladies, just so you know. It is not a gender thing. Okay. It's just, if you're being a cunt, you're being a cunt. It is what it is. But speaking of which, there was there was a very not so subtle response to my live stream. I mean, I don't find it to be coincidence that someone who almost never goes live anymore and barely can get anybody to listen to her idiocy anymore, decided to go live and try to change the narrative. Now, the only reason I'm going to acknowledge this is because it only helps with my argument. I'm going to go over a little bit of it. And this person was booted off of YouTube. At one time had thousands listening to her nonsense. And since then has been booted off YouTube. She's being sued for $10 million. And she's just a very, very, just a very pathetic presence on YouTube. It's just sad. She should just quit. But as long as she's around, I might as well enjoy it the way that I like to enjoy it. And many of you do as well. Now, she used to go by the name Critical K.
And I'm an emotional person, so I'm probably going to cry.
Okay, first of all, you're not an emotional person. No, you're not.
And I don't really feel like crying on camera, but this is an especially touchy one for me and for the people that have really followed it, that really, really care about this child. So
okay,
yeah, camera, but it's
now she's referring to herself as somebody who really cared about this child. This is not someone who really cared about this child. Because when you really care about a child, you don't call her a liar and a brat after seeing video evidence of her literally crying for help. Video evidence of this, okay? Mind you, it's the whole reason everybody got in an uproar about it in the first place. Now, if you go back to my content, I think I called it Critical K Doxer or something. It explains everything. I show receipt after receipt after receipt after receipt as to how deplorable of a person this woman is, and is gotten so low that she does the typical shitty YouTuber thing to do. Is when she's so desperate for attention, she starts resorting to looking for sympathy and sad fishing, which I find, coming from her, really funny, because she is the first person to destroy someone for sad fishing. So I find that really funny.
It's terrible that I even have to be doing this. To be honest with you, I do have more Murdoch stuff I want to talk about, but I don't know if I was going to do it today because sitting is so painful. Like last
translation, the Murdoch stuff that I've been doing, as much as it's bullshit, is still not getting me enough views. So I figured I'd get into this so that I wouldn't be the only person. Now that I know I wasn't the only person to bring it up, and I know that the Glera brought it up, or as she likes to call me, Swill, brought it up. Well, then now it's safe to bring up. And this way I won't look like I'm desperate for content, because you looked like you were desperate for content when you first started talking about this, Kay. Just because you had more subscribers, it wasn't as easy to see. But now it's much easier to see.
Last night when I was done, oh my God, I really paid for it. I was telling someone I need a cordless, they still make them, like cordless microphones that I can stand and talk, because I probably would be better off if I could stand and talk, but I can't. I got it. My microphone is fixed. It's like on a fixed arm.
Fixed arm.
And guzzle my iced tea here. But at any rate, I would probably not even have gone live tonight.
Now, make no mistake. Canceled Karen is a very methodical person. She's very methodical in her manipulative ways. Make no mistake that her going live and saying constantly how sick she is and how she's having these health problems, I don't see to be a coincidence. Now, I'm not saying she's not sick. What I'm saying, though, is her making it public how sick she is a very methodical little method, little part of her strategy, her insane strategy to somehow convince the court that she has a good reason to not show up to Mississippi, because the court in Mississippi has already said, no, you're not getting out of this. You need to come to court. And each time that you don't show up to court, you're going to be fined. You're going to be fined about the amount of money that it would cost you to come out here anyway. So, this is exactly that. Now, I wouldn't even be so quick to jump to that if I didn't have years of experience following this person and talking with this person and interacting with this person without knowing this for a fact. I would not. I've seen it. It's her behavior that tells me this, nothing else.
You know, because I'm in so much pain. And I don't really, I didn't want to talk about this. I didn't want this.
And I hate that I don't feel bad for her. That bugs the fuck out of me right there. I'm going to be honest with you. When somebody talks about how much pain they're in and how they're sick and they're struggling, immediately I want to be empathetic. And even to some degree, me being pissed off about the fact that I can't be empathetic towards her is somehow an act of empathy on my part that I get mad at myself for, because I'm mad at myself for not feeling a fucking thing for her being sick, because she's using it to fucking get attention on one hand, and on another hand, she's also using it to try to manipulate the court in some way to get out of what she's getting out of, because she knows she doesn't stand a chance. And it's like, I want to feel bad for her. There are so many people on YouTube that like I have reviewed, I've criticized, I've made fun of, and then when I find out that there's actually something wrong with them, I'm like, fuck, I really hope that they're okay, you know. But I can't do that with her. I just can't. I don't want anything bad to happen to her, but her fishing for sympathy right now, it just falls on deaf ears based on everything that I know that I've known her to have done. And what she's doing now in this video, on top of the sad fishing, which you'll see, makes it impossible to feel bad for her in my eyes. I'm not saying for anybody else. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to dictate who feels empathy for what. That's not, but I'm mad because I'm mad at her for that. I'm mad at her for that, for doing all of the horrible things that she's done, that I can't look at her and be like, fuck, you know, damn, it really sucks for her, you know, because I just don't feel that way. I really don't.
Out there. This is, quite frankly, Sophie's mother's worst nightmare. It's my worst nightmare. It's what I was hoping that would not happen. I'm learning. I know that there's only so many things I can control. You know, I've always known that, because that's a big talking point on my show. I talk to people about letting go.
Everything is about her, you know. Oh, yeah, it's just, I can't control everything, you know. Like, log on to my channel because I can control so much, but not this. And it breaks my heart that I can't control this. Get the fuck out of my face.
Control of things, not trying to control, micromanage and macromanage and control everything. There's just certain things you can't control. You just have to put your hands up and leave it to the universe. And the universe is going to do and people are going to do what they're going to do. So this being put out there, obviously I had no control over it. So I can't I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm not even going to beat Courtney up over it.
Now, mind you, what she's doing right now is she is deflecting any responsibility that she has for sharing this document. Now, this is the document that I didn't show. I'm showing it now because she at least redacted it, but the document's out there. It's not like you're doxing anybody. But she's trying to already put up a deflector for the criticism that she's going to get for showing the document. Because I know she is. Now, I'm not going to criticize her for showing the document because, as I said, she redacted it. It's fine. I just chose not to because I didn't actually carefully go through it to see what needed to be redacted. And so I just chose not to show it and just read it because, again, it's out there. It's very easy to find.
Because that's the easy thing to do, would be to beat her up over for doing this.
And that was a jab at me because I fucking tore Courtney a new asshole on my last live. And I don't regret or take back one word of it.
Because if she recognized or realized that she's assaulting this child, she wouldn't have done this in the first place. So she clearly doesn't realize that this is a form of assault. This is emotional assault of this child. So she clearly doesn't have the awareness to know that. So beating up on her.
So now she's taking the high road of beating up on her. So what she's trying to do here is she's trying to create this whole multi-level, like a multi-level form of manipulation here. So it's a jab at me for attacking her, even though nobody attacked her more than canceled Karen back when all of this was in the height of all of it going on. When all of this was happening and it was hot as far as people pissed off about it, she attacked Courtney worse than anybody did. Worse than I did in that last video. Much worse. And I'm talking about physical appearance to everything. Okay. And so now what she's trying to do is show that she's empathetic and that she takes the high road and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Okay. Because she's also accusing her of emotional abuse while still trying to be like, it's not really her fault though. But accusing her of emotional abuse towards Sophie for putting out this affidavit. And it's really funny because this is how you know it's a jab at Courtney, because Sophie's never going to know until she's an adult that this affidavit is out there. She has no way, unless somebody is in her ear for some godforsaken reason, telling her the details of Courtney and Michael's custody fight for their son. Unless that's happening, there's no way that this is emotionally abusive towards Sophie. What's emotionally abusive towards Sophie is for her, if these allegations that she originally claimed are true, and for her to all of a sudden decide when she's 18 or older to look into all this stuff and watch all this stuff, then her calling her a brat and a liar and all of that shit, well, you know, I think that's going to be the most emotionally abusive stuff if her allegations were true. And then not only was she coping with dealing with the emotional trauma of being sexually assaulted with her own mother being involved, to having to cope with, oh my God, all of these people on the internet were judging me and blaming me, which is crazy. And all of that hate stemmed from her because nobody was taking the opposing side. She saw an opportunity to do that, and she took advantage because she saw the views. She knew that views would be generated from it. Because when I told her in a text message, which the receipts are there in Critical K Doxer, I showed Kay saying, oh my God, Annie had 11,000 people in her chat. And then switched. She went from I'm not touching that situation to 11K, and then decided to bring it up in her next live and then attack me. But it's all because she cares about this kid, right? Mm-hmm.
On her and saying terrible things about her and squawking like a chicken, clutching my pearls, wringing my hanky. That's not going to solve anything, right? Because I can't control her.
Years. You did that for months and months.
I can only control
years ago
how I present what I understand to be going on. And I'm a smart girl, so my understanding is usually pretty right, as the people who followed me a long time know. I can only present that, my understanding and my feelings, how here we go. Fuck. I'm brokenhearted for Sophie.
What?
Christ.
Okay. Okay.
I'm brokenhearted. How here we go. Fuck. I'm brokenhearted for Sophie.
Bullshit.
Christ.
Is anyone buying this?
Whew, I can do this. I can do this without being a baby. I can only present my thoughts.
I can find the strength to get through talking about this, even after the years of trash talking this child, discrediting her, calling her a liar and a brat, spoiled, manipulative, calling her all of these names and accusing her of horrible things. Hold on, but I can get through this. I can find the strength to get through this. Karen, nobody's buying it.
Thoughts and my understanding of what's going on for people who might be a little confused because they're only maybe getting it from one camp or one side or one content creator or one person or another. And I would ask you to remember that some of the content creators that are using this for content are the reason we're even here.
She sharpened up real quick there, didn't she? She sharpened up real quick there, didn't she? Because I think that talking about being sick was for all of the reasons that I said, but mostly just a ruse to excuse herself for not being on camera and showing that she planned to fake cry and then fake cried. So nobody could call her out on it and be like, oh my God. I wonder what her chat looks like. Hold on. I got to see that. Let me see what her chat looks like. Look at all the hearts. Look at all the hearts.
But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
I was sent these documents a number of days ago, but because I've been in so much pain and it's been so difficult for me to sit upright, I thought, you know what, maybe if I don't, maybe if it's not put out, who knows how many eyeballs have been on it? Who knows, how far this has really gone? Let's give it a few days and see if it dies down. And it's not.
Okay. She just contradicted herself in the same breath. She started to say that it was because she was in too much pain to go live, then remembered that she went live and then corrected herself in the same breath saying, you know what, actually it was because I wanted to see if anybody was actually talking about it. Because in not so many words it's exactly what she just said. Because she just said, I want to see if it dies down, I want to see blah blah blah, and it didn't. Somebody talked about it because nobody fucking talked about it until I did. Nobody did. Some people brought it up for a second and were like, okay, but you know what? But nobody did an entire live stream talking about it.
It's not dying down for whatever reason. So I thought, all right, fine.
Now I want to be clear. My position on this, and was when I talked about it, and it's even in the title basically, is it's over. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean? I figure Michael Long is he took this plea deal because he has a better chance of finding options if there are any. if he's out of jail. So it made sense to take this plea deal, which is going to make it harder for him to be able to fight for her with these convictions. But at the same time, I figure he's better off for her outside than inside jail. Again, I would have taken the plea deal too. I don't fault Michael for that. But what I'm saying here is I said basically it was over, done. That's it. There's nothing to be done left. He took a plea deal. It's over. There's not going to be a trial. Done. Kat Psy Healer, yeah, she bounced right back from being emotional wreck over Sophie to just, yeah, exactly. To a heart of stone immediately. Thank you so much for that.
Say something. And so the first thing I want to do is
she's trying to justify her talking about it because it's not dying down. Like, no, it's dead. It's over. Done.
I'm going to show the second page of the document. For whatever reason, my Mac would not open the document for editing. I don't know why. I've never had that problem, but it kept giving me some weird errors. So I'm like, okay, if I can't edit out what I want, I'm just not going to show it. But I'm showing the first page, and I'm seeing this. What is this poll? I'm seeing somebody else told me about. What does that mean? What does that mean? A poll?
Oh, shit, I was muted. Sorry about that. I had just gone live and I had put up a poll. So I think that that's what she's referring to. I can't see her chat. And I'm pretty sure somebody said something, but I'm sure that the comment was deleted. But I put up a poll in my chat. She didn't know what the fuck was going on. And the poll was saying, does anybody here believe that Michael Long did the things that Sophie, or that this affidavit is claiming Sophie said he did? Because we don't even know if Sophie actually said these things. That's the whole thing. This is Courtney stating that a prosecutor told her. So
what exactly does that? Well, who and what did a poll?
She doesn't.
And a poll about what?
That's code for mods. Get rid of anybody saying the name Glare or Swill in the chat. We don't do that here.
Maybe if I sit on the edge of my chair. Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Okay, well, so
I gotta let everybody know how much pain I'm in.
My Mac, for whatever reason, would not edit the photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the front page, and then I'm going to read you excerpts where I edit, verbally edit out what I don't want to say, because I don't want any part of this. I've been talking a lot about evil lately on my show, and I know that some people
I love it. I love it. Like I'll fucking dox people. I'll tell lies about them. I'll accuse them of horrible shit. I'll perpetuate harassment towards somebody, but I won't say anything that might cost me any chance for ad revenue at some point.
People might be kind of confused by that, because I'm not an extraordinarily spiritual person. I don't normally talk about spiritual stuff. And I've been using that word evil kind of like for a reason. Although I don't, my usage of the word.
I'm not necessarily spiritual. Translation, I have no fucking soul.
Is less in a spiritual way than in trying to impart to people how awful something is that somebody has made a choice to do. So I've been talking a lot about people making choices and going down dark, destructive, self-destructive, destructive to other people, hateful, vindictive, murderous paths in their lives, and getting them themselves to the point where they're going to prison for life and they've murdered someone, or someone's plural. So, I think most of us can agree murder is evil. It's obviously one of the 10 commandments for a reason. But the choices that led a person to choosing evil or choosing
one of the 10 commandments for a reason. Most of us would say that murder is evil, right? Most of us. Yeah, like all of us would say that it's fucking evil, dude.
their worst devils of their nature, those are simply human choices made by human people that aren't necessarily evil people, but they've chosen evil. They know it's wrong. They know. Courtney knew this was wrong. She did it anyway. I think most rational people, and if you don't think this is wrong, putting something like this out there. And before I read the first page, let me say right out the gate, this was never, ever meant to be public. The information that's in this affidavit that
yeah, this is the thing about things that are public record. It's literally in the name, public record. Means the intention is so that the public can view it. Just so you know, when something is public record, which that is, because anybody can get it, anybody can find it. Yeah, just saying.
I'm not going to speak the word.
This I can tell you. This I can tell you. One of two people leaked this to the person that sent it to me. Okay? And one of those people is Courtney. Could only be. Could only be. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I didn't see a name, but there is only one person aside from her that could have and would have. Just saying.
Words that Courtney wrote, but the information that's in this affidavit was never meant to be public. This was information from a 12-year-old girl in the privacy and security.
Again, not a coincidence that she went live about this the same day after she already said that it was shared with her several days ago. The same day, just a couple of hours after I did. That's not a coincidence. And it's also not a coincidence that she's trying to keep any responsibility or criticism off of herself because of me getting any criticism, which I didn't even get any criticism for actually going over the document. It's just a way for her to manipulate the situation and say, whoever shared this initially is bad, but I'm going to do it. But I just want you to know, I didn't share it first. Like, it's all she's doing.
Of a therapy session pathetic. That she's had to be coaxed into doing in the first place.
This is very interesting too.
That privacy and security of this was information.
Listen.
From a 12-year-old girl.
Okay.
In the privacy and security of a therapy session that she's had to be coaxed into doing in the first place.
Okay. A therapy session that she had to be coaxed into doing in the first place. First of all, there's no 9-year-old that says 9, 10, 11, or 12 that says, could you put me in therapy, please? I mean, if they do, it's because they are a very, very unique child. I'm sure it has happened. But to sit here and say she had to be coaxed into this therapy session and coaxed into saying the things that she said. But what's really interesting here is where in the fuck did you see that this came from a therapy session?
That had to be dragged out of her. And that is was very painful for her to recall and difficult for her to talk about. That this information was shared with the district attorney. And if you'll give me a moment, I'm going to pull up that district attorney's name because I think that's important for people to know. Hang on, give me just a minute. I didn't commit it to memory. Hang on one moment. It's Christine something, I think. It's
Okay.
actually a woman.
So right here, she's basically confirming, because I had to double check, but she's confirming.
If somebody else knows it in chat, throw it out there. Hi, you guys that are
like, you have the document pulled up. What the fuck are you talking about? Just look at the document. She's looking for the prosecutor's name who supposedly told Courtney that that Sophie made these allegations against Michael. But she's making the assumption that it happened in a therapy session, which I find very interesting because there's nothing to say that this happened in a therapy session. Nothing at all. She could have told the prosecutor herself. She could have told somebody who told the prosecutor. We have no idea where the source of information from that got to the prosecutor says anything. We don't, and the fact is that we don't even know Courtney to be telling the truth, because as I stated before in the last live, and I made very clear and I made every point as to why, Courtney is without a doubt a fucking liar. So that is not credible at all. It's just simply not credible.
They're coming in. Hello, hello, hello.
She wants people to come in so bad.
Christina Skipper. So this is information that was shared in confidence with this DA, Christina Skipper, to effect a harsher sentence for the kidnapping and the interference of child custody. It was information that was shared with the presumption that it would not be made public. You know, I mean, a DA turning around.
Okay. Again, this is an example of the manipulative tactics that this person had. It's just really funny. I find it amusing that it doesn't even matter anymore, because people are onto her. People understand that she is completely full of shit because she's not making any sense discussing this document. I stated facts. I gave references as to where you could review receipts, and it's that simple. Courtney's a fucking liar. Now, the circumstances under which this prosecutor, and even if this prosecutor actually obtained this information, I mean, I don't think that anybody, even Courtney, would be as stupid as to state and name drop this person in a legal document, an attorney for that matter, and name drop that person if that could not be verified. So, presuming that she is telling the truth as far as that goes, or assuming that she's telling the truth, I should say, the manner in which this prosecutor obtained this information is completely up in the air. There's absolutely no way to tell whether or not that actually happened. Now, we did see, though, video evidence of Sophie accusing Jake Bellington and her mother. Video evidence of this. We saw this. So, that's enough for me to go by. That right there is the word of a liar. A known, proven liar. Yet, this person is just hanging on so desperately to her own bullshit that with her little channel now that she's not getting any views on. I mean, this video got 1,000 views in a 2-day period. So yeah. So that's that. It's just, I always find that funny because canceled Karen is always entertaining to me. So moving on. So in the title, see, this is the thing, talking about JLR, Jonatalia. In regards to Jonatalia Lee Riches, now, his big thing is, yes, I did prison time and I learned my lesson and I'm reformed, and to throw my past in my face is crazy, even though this is his method of doing everything, whether it comes to other YouTubers or whether it comes to the people who he is accusing, who are involved, who have loved ones or are loved ones of people involved in horrible crimes and are simply victims of circumstance. And so it's very interesting to me that he would refer to himself as reformed. And then I thought to myself, this reminds me of someone, and I think I've made this analogy before. Now, years ago, when I first started on YouTube, I was getting my legs for this platform and what to do, and gaining my confidence and whatnot, and I was streaming from a bedroom, and my lighting, this is the first time it's ever even been remotely close to the way that I like it, and so finally, but for some reason, I managed to land a live stream with someone who I covered on my channel. I discussed the things that I discussed regarding him, and I was fascinated with this person, because I didn't see a bad person. And it wasn't until I reached out to him, because he happened to have a YouTube channel that he would just, not for attention, nothing. This guy loved airplanes. He loves airplanes, genuinely. And he would just film airplanes and say what kind of airplane it was. And he had this YouTube channel. It's gone now, but he had this YouTube channel. And so I left a comment asking him to contact me, and he reviewed the content where I was talking about him, and then he agreed. He emailed me, and then we ended up, and we grew what I still value to be as a friendship. And he's a really cool guy, and I had a great long telephonic conversation with him before we even had a great long conversation. And I refused to call this an interview that I did with him, but he agreed to come on my panel and talk to me, and we had a great conversation, and it was 3 hours long, and it was so much fun, and I'll never ever forget it. And I'll never forget, now he did end up going off the grid again. I don't know what happened. Hopefully, if he feels like it, he'll contact me again, but he makes it very he's the type of guy that if he wants to contact you, it'll be him contacting you and not the other way around. He's that kind of guy. And he doesn't like this name that the press stamped him with, which was the Barefoot Bandit. And I'll play some of this, and I know I'll get a copyright claim on it, but I'd like to share it with some of you guys, so you guys get a feel, more or less, the legend of this young man which he later, now in all fairness, he did debunk a lot of this stuff on my channel. But I'll just go ahead for you guys. Now, this young man, his name is Colton Harris Moore, and the press labeled him the Barefoot Bandit. And I'll let this play for a second before I even get into him a little bit more here. Shut up, Cherry.
Can you believe the teen known as the Barefoot Bandit has been caught? Police in the Bahamas say the most wanted teenage fugitive in America was captured after crash landing a stolen plane on the island of Eleuthera. 19-year-old Colton Harris Moore could be facing dozens of criminal charges, including the theft of 5 airplanes.
The theft of 5 airplanes. He was 19 when he was caught. This is 2 years earlier. I really hope I don't get sniped here, but
Colton Harris Moore is 17 years old when he escapes from a halfway house in Renton, Washington. He will remain free for more than 2 years. His story will become legend. His legend will become history.
Colton Harris Moore escaped from a group home in Renton last night. Harris Moore was just 15 when he was arrested for breaking into homes, stealing valuables, and using computers to place fraudulent online orders. He was serving a 3-year sentence when he escaped.
that shit is so embellished. It's so funny.
Tonight, there's an all-out search for Colton Harris Moore, dressed in camouflage and armed with rifles.
This is all real news footage, people. The cartoon is totally embellished.
Today, a heavily armed tactical team searched the area around the Elger Bay store where Harris Moore was last seen. While the 17-year-old is 6'5" and 200 pounds, he is crafty and knows the woods. For more than a year, he eluded law enforcement, playing a frustrating game of cat and mouse.
One of my sergeants came in and he says, "Hey, boss, did you hear that Colton Harris Moore got out, or, escaped?" And I was not very happy because I knew where he was coming. He was coming back to his old stomping grounds, and all these burglaries, and the whole thing was going to start up over again, which it did.
He had disabled the alarm where there was no alarm going to the police station. He took food and money. Packages of hot dogs and beef jerky, potato chips, a whole rack of vitamin water. I mean, I don't know how he hauled all this stuff away.
The undersheriff tells me there's been 9 burglaries across Island County in the last 2 weeks. Now, he won't confirm that any of them are related or linked to Colton Harris Moore.
Moore is accused of breaking into dozens of homes and then disappearing into the woods of Camano Island.
Island residents begin to notice strange charges to their credit cards from online stores. Outdoor gear, bear mace, computer hacking software, GPS systems, and porn. Items they will never see. Colton is gearing up for an adventure.
He knew those woods. He grew up there. He knew every trail, every pathway, and he was building his camps in very, very thick brush where you couldn't even tell there was a trail to him. And he'd get in there and he'd stomp all of that, the area down and put like a tent in there or some type of a lean-to.
He's a kid, Lex. What do you want?
Bag. And we'd find his camp and he'd just move to another one.
Not too sure how we actually met up. I think it might have been outside of
Hey,
school,
now
'cause he's a couple years younger than I am.
Again, see this dude right here? When Colton was on this channel, he shot this down. And I'm not even going to play any more of this. If you'd like to watch it, go ahead. But I want you guys to know that Colton was on this channel debunking almost all of it. Only the things he was charged with, basically. The press obviously ran with a lot of embellishments in order to, make the story more interesting. But Colton is a very humble guy. I'll play a little bit of this. I'll try to fast because I don't have timestamps and it's a long one, but I'll probably be skipping through a lot of it. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of this conversation I had with him. Because after the fact, after he emailed me and then we talked, we planned this, I don't like to call this an interview. I'm not a journalist. But I was fascinated with the fact that this guy refuses to speak to the press. He does not do interviews. He doesn't like the clout that came with the sensationalism that came with his arrest. This is somebody who genuinely regretted his actions in the sense that he victimized people. He wasn't thinking of them. And this is his deepest regret. And he did everything that he could to make it right. And I'll get into some of that.
Oh, yeah,
different from how I saw it earlier.
Now,
I want to make sure that I don't have an echo here. Okay.
Now you guys could see how much of a YouTube jit I used to be in comparison. I'm still a jit on YouTube. And back then, I mean, from my bedroom, terrible lighting. The lighting was almost on purpose because I was self-conscious about being on camera. So it was that long ago.
Here we go. Sorry. I should have been ready and I wasn't. So how's it going?
Good. I don't give many interviews. I know this isn't going to be an interview. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, you definitely seem that way. And I've really enjoyed the conversations we've been having over the last 24 hours. so speaking of, I just want to go ahead and thank you for taking the time to join me here and indulge my listeners and myself. Everybody here, ever since I posted last night that this was going to happen, they've been really excited and really supportive. Yeah, and you're right. This is not going to be intended to be an interview necessarily. I mean, I'm probably going to ask you stuff that a lot of people are curious about. Because
the comments were brutal on this thing. You can go back and look at that. Because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and there were so many people who adored this guy, who saw him for the legend that the media portrayed him as, and they were dying to hear something from this guy. And of all the people that he chose to speak to was this nobody who happened to be on YouTube, and he told me that it was simply because he liked where my heart was and where I was coming from. And I'm very proud that I have never faltered from my ethics and from my scruples as far as being a YouTuber goes since then. And so it's really cool that somebody like him would choose me just based on honest conversation. This guy was not looking for clout. He was not looking for exposure. He wasn't looking for any of that. He just saw a guy who felt was a decent person and wanted to talk to him. You know, as just, I can't ever express how grateful I'll always be for that.
Like you said, you don't really do press, and you don't really do stuff like this. And I want to be as respectful of that as possible. Yeah. But because of that, there's so many people who want to know so much. But there's also things that people don't really need to know because it's none of their fucking business. So we're not going to have to worry about that too much.
One of the problems that I guess I've faced over the past few years.
Thanks, Ted Jedi.
I don't necessarily
I'll mull it
have
over
a problem
again.
with doing interviews.
I'll keep mulling it over.
I'd probably do a lot of interviews if it wasn't for the fact that many of these reporters are, you know, I hate to say it, but dishonest. And, you know, they have their agenda and they'll talk to you like they're your best friend. Even if they don't talk to you like they're your best friend, they'll, you know, have a normal conversation with you. And then 12 hours later, the story comes out and they make you sound like some punk. And so, you know, I've just had dozens of experiences like that. And where I haven't experienced it myself, I've certainly seen other people experience that. So it's
and don't forget the purpose of me showing this, because JLR is it's fascinating because JLR fancies himself press, but he also fancies himself in his actions the type of press that is of the worst kind that Colton is currently describing right now, and he can't even get to that level. Like, that's how pathetic he is Colton has no respect for the media that actually made it, that actually made a legitimate career off of doing the shit that JLR thrives to do. It's very, very interesting.
It's few and far between, I think is the right way to say that. When I come across a reporter or basically anybody that, you know, tells the truth. And I'm not looking for somebody to treat me like, you know, some great person. But
now on the other side of that coin too, keep in mind, Colton is an ex-convict. He's somebody who did time in prison, who paid for his actions. Now, Cadillac gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Congrats to Coco Puff on Social Butterfly, me, you, Terry Dean, and Rowdy. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Thank you. So I find it really funny that because this is a guy right here who is, well, let's go back to JLR. JLR fancies himself. Keep in mind, JLR fancies himself more intelligent than everyone else. He thinks he's really smart. But what I find really funny is how humble Colton is. And when you listen to him speak, and you listen to him speak, he is vastly more intelligent.
Just tell the truth. Not only that, but tell the truth without an agenda. And I've never quite been able to put my finger on, what drives some of these people, whether they just want to make me look bad. Maybe they think that it's ratings. I don't know. But I'm most definitely not the person that, I guess you could say the common denominator between all of these stories, child punk, a criminal, whatever you want to call it. I committed crimes, but at the same time, that was 10, 12, 15 years ago. Doesn't mean I didn't do the crimes. It just means that that's not news. And so many people want to talk about that. So,
and
the media.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's got to be frustrating also, because it doesn't define who you are, and it must be difficult to escape that at this point, being a shadow, because after talking with you, and I'm sure everybody listening right now are going to see that there is so much more to you than that. As fascinating as your story is, well, I think so. But as fascinating as your story is, I can honestly say that I'm just in awe of your insight. And
insight with what?
Well, we were talking about financial stuff, which I don't know anything about, but how much you seem to know about it. I mean, you remind me.
Yeah, this guy, when it comes to theories on the economy, this dude, now it's really funny because if you're interested in that sort of thing, because a lot of people didn't like this conversation because Colton was merely being himself. People see Colton as the barefoot bandit. That is not who Colton is. He's no longer anything like that person necessarily. I mean, as far as like the actions in which he took, his behavior, he's a grown-up. He made mistakes as a kid and he paid for his mistakes, but since then, and while he was paying for those mistakes, and since, he's been doing everything to be as productive of a member of society as anybody can be.
Remind me a lot of my brother. My brother is one of the smartest people I know, and he actually lives in your neck of the woods, actually, but coincidentally. But yeah, and it shows that I don't really know that much about prison, so I have no idea how you spent your time, but it sounds to me like you spent a lot of time educating yourself and using that time very wisely.
You really don't have any choice but to kind of go into your own little world,
Well, exactly.
A lot of people,
and some people choose to actually educate themselves, and others choose to file hundreds of frivolous lawsuits, which I find very interesting.
Disparaging anybody, but a lot of people that go to prison, they seem to just go deeper into the hole that led them to prison.
Right.
Not really connecting the dots. And, I didn't have anything in common with that. So, but also you have to look at the original reason why I went to prison. It wasn't.
That's before the blue cup.
Necessarily because of a character flaw. It wasn't because, I'm an inherent bad person. I'm not saying people in prison are bad people, but there comes a point where you look at what brought somebody to prison. Was it because of, a mistake? Was it because of something, a life lesson that just happened to be, like in my case, illegal? Or did they do it because they're essentially proud of it? And they're in this life that they have no desire to get out of. And So, the funny thing about prison is I spent.
Now, also interesting, because this is also a guy who is trying to make a name for himself via what he has to offer the world right now. JLR embraces. On one side of his mouth, he'll say, it's crazy to throw my past in my face. And then on the other side of his mouth, he'll brag about being the most litigious person in the world. It's just really, really funny.
Spent hundreds of hours, probably
like you'll
several
never
thousand hours.
You'll never hear Colton brag about being the so-called barefoot bandit. You'll never hear him do that. He's doing everything he can to escape that shadow. Everything. And he'll hide from the public until he can. He'll literally hide from the public until he can.
There's 2,000 or 3,000 people at the prison that I was at. It's broke down into individual units. There's 200 or 300 people in every unit. And I would bring these textbooks down, a 2 feet stack worth of a 2 foot stack worth of airplane textbooks, aerodynamics, whatever it was. And I would come down and talk to people about, what a winglet is, what a high bypass ratio turbine engine is. And I remember one time I asked this guy, he was like 45, 46 years old, and he's been in and out of prison his entire life. And I said, so have you, and he's talking to this 19, 20-year-old kid, trying to, talk to him about something he's never heard about, and which is no fault of his. It's just, he never was introduced to it. And so I asked him, have you ever thought about being a pilot?
Thank you, Lisa Maxwell, for the super sticker.
It's probably one of those seminal moments in life that just opens your eyes to something that you weren't aware of. And that was kind of the overall theme of the hours and hours that I spent speaking with this guy. And I asked him if he ever thought about being a pilot. And he said to me, in almost dismay or disbelief, he goes, "Oh no, I wasn't raised that way." And I said, "What do you mean you weren't raised that way?" He goes, "I just wasn't raised that way." Raised like what? Neither was I. And I got into it a little bit differently than most, obviously, but
I don't remember. This was so long ago, Midnight Rain. That's a good question. I don't remember exactly how long he was in prison. But
I would say that was probably the major theme of the 6+ years. It was 6 years and a couple months after that. So 6+ years that I was in jail. It's just this.
Okay, there you go.
Prison is
so 6+ years he was in prison.
A microcosm for society in a lot of ways, and I didn't know that going into it. You have a lot of people that simply have never been introduced to not only the full spectrum of possibilities, but the spectrums beyond spectrums, and it's truly infinite. And most people have no idea about that. They steal cars and they're doing these things and not tapping into their maximum potential. And I'm not judging anybody for doing that. People, but at the same time, people are responsible for their own decisions. It's why they go to prison. But it was a very eye-opening experience about just how few people really realize what they're capable of. And once they realize it's a possibility, do they actually believe in it? Do they believe they're capable? So there's layers to it. And but I spent thousands and thousands of hours talking to people, and people that were 18, 19 years old, all the way up to 50, 60-year-old people that simply never accomplished any of their goals. They didn't have goals. So, but I think that was a microcosm for society. I really believe that. And almost every interaction I have on a daily basis, I see these people going through stores, and I talk to a lot of them, and you get to know somebody, and they get their job and they do their thing, and that's fine. But I just have a hard time thinking that that's what they wanted to do when they were a little kid. And not to say somebody should be, a little kid their whole life, but there's a certain element of, I guess, the mindset of a child where they simply believe anything's possible, and they totally see it as a realistic possibility. And I've never liked the word realistic. I think realistic is what you make it. But prison was a unique experience. It wasn't what the media have said it was for me. I wouldn't say it was bad in the sense of, seeing people do things, but it also wasn't good. It probably categorically was the worst time of my life. That's contrasted or compared to the fact that they could have let me out the very next day and I would have never committed another crime. So, there's the element to that whole period of my life.
So he's saying basically, like, he learned his lesson from the moment he was caught. That was it. At that point, when he's caught, he's like, if they would have let me out the next day, I would have never done these things again.
My life where, I'm sitting in jail, I have all of this desire to go out and do things and obviously never break the law ever again. I didn't break the law because that's who I am. I broke the law, and I'm not excusing it, but it's an important distinction to make. I broke the law because it was a period of my life. I called it for the lack of a better phrase or term, a spiritual journey, again, I'm not minimizing or dismissing the fact that I broke the law, that I disturbed people's lives and many other things. But, the reason I did the crimes was not, it's called, you go to law school, there's something called moral turpitude. They won't let you become an attorney if you have issues of moral turpitude, which, if you go, in other words, if you're a sociopath, okay? So, I never committed crimes because I'm a sociopath or have this or have that. I committed crimes for, I think, nuanced reasons, but those reasons aren't permanent. Those reasons aren't indicative of, what I have going on in my head, what kind of character I have, what I aspire to. And I think the media has done a horrendous job of touching on that point. From no fault of my own. I mean, they can call me up and talk to me, but somehow they always get it wrong, and it's very disappointing.
Yeah, it's funny. I have this thing where I look at everything with a grain of salt. So when I'm seeing all these news clips, when they're talking about you, I'm going over them. I'm like, they're totally painting him to be much less than what he is. They're painting him to be a punk, like you said, just a
I
punk.
mean, that's what it is. A child punk. And
but I like to look at facts too. And
thank you, Sugar Chris, for the Cash App. I appreciate that.
And they stated a lot of facts, as well as probably a lot of embellishments to make the story more interesting. But I got the impression that when they would describe you as that, I'd be like, that's completely inaccurate, because you didn't vandalize these homes that you broke into. You didn't vandalize these places that you broke into. You were clearly an angry kid, but you weren't. You were not, like you said, lacking a moral turpitude that most criminals would have.
To be clear, I was lacking moral turpitude.
You were.
The moral turpitude's a bad thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's you're the one with the brains here.
You can see how unqualified I was to be talking to this.
Oh no!
But this guy on the spectrum of intelligence is like way over here, and I'm over here. You know what I mean? He's way smart.
I would say.
But yeah, the whole thing was you weren't vandalizing these homes. You weren't from what I understand, from what I saw, when you would raid somebody's fridge or their kitchen to get something to eat, you'd actually clean up after yourself.
Cadillac,
you were
thank you so
considerate.
much.
Well, you don't want somebody to know that you were
Cadillac, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that.
in their house. That's number one. A lot of the places that I went to were summer houses. People only go there, even though the phrase summer house, that it's not actually a
But
summer house.
everyone knew who you were. They knew
Yeah.
your face. They knew your name, and you had this area, and you had an MO. So it was pretty obvious that it was you breaking into their places. At least the way it's painted to be. At least the way the picture that's been painted to us. At least that's the way it comes off to the rest of us who have never spoken to you. But yeah, it's so I agree with you in the sense that I saw that immediately. I was like, there's a lot more to this kid. I mean, to minimize the fact that it took a certain type of audacity seems to be the wrong word. It took ambition in a way, in your own way, the way that I saw it, at least, to go through the steps to teach yourself how to fly a plane and be able to do that.
Okay.
No,
just so you guys know, just a refresher here. Colton Harris Moore stole 5 airplanes as a teenager and eluded the FBI for 3 years. Like, outsmarted the FBI with no resources. This guy would hide in trees. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was right under their nose and they couldn't find him. And he would actually send pictures or post pictures so that taunting the FBI because he was a kid having fun. It's not something he's proud of, but it's one of the reasons why people look at him and go, legend, it's always the frat boy types and shit like that. They're like, oh, fucking legend. But it can't, there's a reason why he gets the type of attention that he does for that is because, this is the FBI and he's a teenager and he outsmarted them, managed to steal 5 airplanes.
No, nobody else would do that. That's what makes your story so amazing and makes you, but people don't look, people say that that's what makes the story so amazing. But I think that that's actually the nature of your crimes and how you went about executing those crimes is what separates you from most criminals.
Okay. So, Headstones and Headlines is asking, was he who they based Catch Me If You Can? No, that was Frank Abagnale. And he actually has feelings about that. I think if I remember correctly, at one point, either in this conversation, because I've had him on the channel a couple of times, at least twice, maybe 3 times. But I've had him on the channel. And I think one of the times he mentioned that he met Frank Abagnale or something and wasn't impressed. I think those were the words he used. But that's not what he meant. He wasn't a nice guy or something to that effect. Not like they were in competition of being who's the best con man and who's the best famous thief. It wasn't like that. It was just, yeah. But no, he's not. Now it's funny because you're thinking, okay, why haven't they made a movie about this guy? It's a very interesting thing. I'll get into that in a little bit.
And the what am I looking for here? I think that the reasons why you did it were different than most criminals, which I think you pretty much just explained and you confirmed. You had dreams and you had goals and you wanted to go about achieving them. And that right there tells me that that's somebody with a future. Hearing you speak
after
spending how many years in prison were you? How many years did you serve in prison exactly? How much time?
I think it was just a sliver over 6 years. I
A
actually
sliver
couldn't
over
tell
6
you. I
years.
think it's just over 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in prison for 6 years, and whereas most people would use that as an excuse to not achieve their dreams or not even pursue them, here you are just waiting and doing your time and educating yourself and is in any possible way that you can and ready
Very
to
limited selection at the local library, I'll tell you that. Very limited selection.
right.
But people would send me books. Even, the owner of the airplane that I flew to the Bahamas, I'm not bragging when I say that, but the owner of the airplane that, the Indiana airplane, the guy's name is John Miller. Although he goes by Spider Miller, an amazing man, by the way, but and we're good friends, but which is strange how that turned out. But
you
I
gotta
think
love
that's
that.
just how life works. But
so the last dude that he stole an airplane from, right? Because he was caught in the Bahamas. Okay. But the last dude that he stole an airplane from, the two of them are now friends. You know what I mean? Like, because even that dude is like, there's something to respect about the balls that it took to do that. At the end of the day, he got his plane back. This is a person who didn't hold a grudge and saw the kind of person that he was and got to know him. And he's perfectly, I just find that very interesting.
But he sent me, I would say, probably close to half a dozen textbooks, various textbooks. And that was really my source of, I guess, sanity. People would send me books. They would send me magazines. They would do all these things. Most of them I had never met, never heard of. A couple of them I did know. But, the library down at the jail was, just the most boring books you've ever heard. But people would send me books on a daily basis, and people actually got to the point where they started to resent me for that, because the mail would come in and there would be a big giant bag, like a duffel bag they'd carry in the mail, and half of the bag was just for me. So, but I greatly appreciate that. It would be big boxes full of books and stuff like that. But then I would, share the books. I'd send them around to anybody that wanted to read them. But
that's so funny. Like, I went through a whole yeah, never mind. But it's just really funny to me. Like, this guy was spending his time in prison just trying to educate himself. Okay, well, they don't have the book that I need. Well, I'm just going to send out for it. Fuck it. This guy is a no excuses type person.
Yeah, very tough to educate yourself, to stay busy, to learn about a specific subject. If you know what you want to learn about.
But my point is that you did it though.
Yeah.
Regardless of
Sure.
how difficult it was. So, I mean, to me, that's my point, is that to me, even the nature of your crime speaks volumes of your character and the type of person you are and how driven you are. You were fascinated with airplanes. So, from what I understand, the story that we're familiar with and how we're familiar with it is that you broke into a restaurant, you took a credit card.
Oh, here we go.
Got on, and if you're uncomfortable with me talking about this,
go ahead.
But you took a credit card, you got on the computer there during their closing hours while you're in the middle of a break-in, a burglary here.
Wait, say that. I didn't catch the last part. What was that?
While you're in the middle of a burglary where time is of the essence, and you're taking flight simulations, you're ordering DVDs, having them delivered to the place, and then going back, breaking in to pick up the stuff that you ordered.
Okay, so I could probably explain it a little better now. So basically, the story is that he would break into a place, like he said, a summer home where people normally weren't there, and he would actually have instructional DVDs on how to fly a plane sent to the house that he broke into from their computer, and then he would order them from their computer, wait for the mail, and then get the mail at that house that he broke into and watch the DVDs and learn how to fly a plane. This is his response to that, which is very interesting.
Well, there is a granule of truth in that, and that is that I broke into the restaurant. I actually don't think they know about this one, but I broke into the restaurant. I didn't go into the main part of the restaurant. There's a back door through the kitchen that you can access through the outside, and I made
restaurant, not a house.
Spicy hot wings from the freezer. But I never ordered airplane DVDs. That's number one. And I haven't used a flight simulator in my life to this very day. I don't think they had Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020.
Now, make no mistake, Colton is a very humble guy, but he's also very cocky. Like if he knows he's good at something, he will say, I am good at this, and this is why, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it if he backs it up. But he's not deluded as to who he is and what he's capable of, which I find very, very interesting.
You look that up on the computer and check out how great that is. But I don't think they had that when I was a teenager. So that's something the media came up with. They, and that's fine, I guess. But I have never used a flight simulator. I don't think you have a little joystick out in the woods.
That didn't make sense to me either. I was like, how did he, but you got the DVDs, you watched the DVDs. How were you able to watch?
I never ordered the DVDs. That's
okay.
I don't know.
So you just read books.
So this is,
I mean, I've studied it.
See, I love how Colton sees that as, that's insulting to say that about me. Like to make that up. No, fuck you. I got behind a fucking plane wheel and I flew it. Period. That's how, like, yeah, okay. I'm a humble guy, but don't get my shit wrong. Like, no, I didn't use any fucking simulators or instructional DVDs. I got in a fucking plane and I flew it because I just knew how.
I'm not going to try to make myself sound like the Grand Master, but I've had ever since I was a small child. I have two memories. I won't say the first one just for sentimental reasons, but the other one is of we're out somewhere shopping or something, and I ran outside. I could hear an airplane, and I ran outside, and it's this rust bucket old 1950s Cessna 172, and I could just see it fly over for a few seconds. But that's one of my earliest memories. So ever since I was a small child, I've had this, I guess, obsession with airplanes and the wings, the engines, the speed, the avionics, the design. It fascinates me how some companies can get it really right and others can get it totally wrong. And Gulfstream is one of the great companies. Bombardier is one of the great companies. But then you have companies like, I'm not going to say names actually, but they come out with far less products and far less quality.
Yeah, you were going into that a little bit when we were talking yesterday.
Now, this is part of the reason why this took 3 hours. We're not going to go over the whole thing, obviously, but Colton just started going on a tangent about airplanes because, he's showing with his behavior how fascinated he is with airplanes, as if we all know about airplanes and can even relate to what the fuck he's talking about right now. And I say that with love, but that's how obsessed he is with airplanes, because once he gets to thinking about them, he just has to talk about them because he loves them so much. This is what I meant by he was a different breed of thief. This is a guy who clearly had such an obsession of flying that nothing was going to stop him from doing it. Nothing was going to stop him. And the way that he grew up, it just wasn't possible for him to take flight lessons, to rent an airplane, to do whatever the fuck that you would do to legitimately fly an airplane. And he would probably be mad at me if he was listening to this right now, because it sounds like I'm making an excuse for what he did. And it's not an excuse, but it helps you understand why somebody like him would commit these grand theft crimes. You know what I mean? So it just makes more sense.
Yesterday, I mean, it sounded like Chinese to me, but I was fascinated with how much you knew about it. And I mean, you were going into how you could even improve the designs on these.
Well, that's how it started. When I was a small child, I would draw, pictures of airplanes and things like this. But I would see like a picture of a 737, for instance, and I would see newer airplanes. So there's different categories of the industry. There's business aviation, then there's commercial aviation. There's, in the aerospace sphere, there's many different categories. There's helicopters, there's intermediate size. I mean, you can go on and on, but the point is, you have in business aviation, you have purpose-built business jets. So you have like the Gulfstream G550, the 650, that now they just came out with the 700, which is one of the most beautiful airplanes ever built, in my opinion. But, you have purpose-built airplanes. So in other words, they're designed for one purpose: to fly executives, high net worth. So, but, just like how that's a microcosm for society in many ways, not every way, but many ways, I saw all of these people that had so much more potential and, smart people, and become very credible in the process, or you're going to give up and fail. And when people attack you, when people attack your intentions, that's the big one. When people
you can either let it beat you, or you can overcome it. Yeah.
Long story short, that's correct. But what it does is it's kind of I guess you could say it's a subconscious process. It's not something that you consciously develop. I think subconsciously.
Now, I wish I had. Now he's just talking about basic human behavior right now, but I want to comment on Sugar Crisp's comment here, saying he also crashed these planes too. Am I correct on that? He crashed some of them in the landings where there was damage, and yes, he did, as a matter of fact. Now, I'm not gonna go through 3 hours of this, but you can see that this person is very accountable for their actions. You could see that he's a brilliant person. You could see that he sees society as and his place in it as, what can I contribute to it versus what can I take from it. This is somebody who did prison time. This is somebody who got caught at the crimes that he committed, and then the moment that he was arrested, according to him, basically, that he learned his lesson. He was like, fuck. And then he spent all of his time in prison over 6 years as a kid, reflecting on, what can he do once I get out? What am I going to do that's going to be productive? Now, in regards to Sugar Crisp's statement, there's a point in this conversation that I had with him where I asked him, and I was just like, all of these planes you crashed, dude. I was like, and just to fuck with him a little bit, like, because I could already kind of see that he had a bit of an ego about the things that he knows he's good at. And flying is definitely one of those things. And and I was like, dude, I was like, so why can't you land a plane? And he's like, dude, I can land a plane. All right. I can land a plane. But he explains perfectly. He explains, dude, I was stealing these planes. A surefire way to get caught is to find a landing strip where there is towers, where there's radar, where there's all of this stuff. The only chance I had was to find a field and kind of crash land the plane. I was always fine. I walked away from it. And I was always just like, how did you walk away from these every single time when you crashed a plane too? He was like, no, he's like, those were conscious things that I did. You know, I had to kind of what would be considered a crash landing because I didn't land in an airstrip. And yes, it would cause some damage to the planes. He this is a guy who sorry, I got distracted by the chat there. I don't know anything about whether or not he likes to get high or not. I don't know. But he was like, yeah, it made perfect sense. You know, I mean, I'm a fugitive. I'm trying to run from the law. I don't want to get caught. I stole the fucking plane. I don't want to land in an airstrip where I can get caught. So that made absolutely perfect sense to me. I was like, oh, okay. And I felt kind of dumb for not thinking about it immediately. So yeah. Now, yeah, whether or not he indulges in whatever the fuck he indulges, I know he doesn't drink. And I think he was actually pretty adamant about being very clear-headed, if I remember correctly. But so you guys have an idea. Now, the reason why I brought this up, because Colton to me is a perfect example of what JLR claims to be, but his actions are very much not this. JLR is not a folk hero by any means. He victimized people, and he victimized our justice system, and he brags about it. He does not show any remorse for it. I would go as far as to say that JLR is the anti-Colton Harris Moore. I've said this before. I'll also say that, again, it's in the actions. Okay? Because what JLR chose to do with his time, this is very interesting. What JLR chose to do with his time in prison was file a bunch of bogus lawsuits, insane lawsuits. He wanted to waste the court's time. He wanted to waste the system's time and resources because he knew that he could. He tried to sue Mount Everest. He tried to sue Nostradamus. So, and he's not even remotely as intelligent, even though he fancies himself as being intelligent. JLR, while he's doing this in prison, what Colton was doing in prison was he was trying to find a way to not only better himself and be a productive member of society when he came out, and not only be a productive member of society, what his ambitions seem to be is that he wants to be he wants to have an impact on how productive he is in society. This is a guy that, in that conversation, which Cherry has been sharing the link to that. So if you're interested in the entire conversation and listening to his insight, please click on it and please watch it. Give it a like, because I want to make sure also that everyone sees how brilliant this guy is and what he has to offer. I would love to see Colton get behind the wheel of a plane again. I would love to see that, because that is something that he truly loves. And I don't think that as a kid, I believe that he paid his debt to society and then some. Because what JLR chose to do with his time in prison was to troll the system. What Colton chose to do was hire an entertainment lawyer. Okay? Hire an entertainment lawyer and negotiate a movie deal because he was approached for a movie deal for his story. And he hired an attorney while he was in prison as a kid to negotiate a $3 million deal for his story with 20th Century Fox. This is a fact. This happened. Okay? With 20th Century Fox, where it was actually, as far as he puts it, the highest sum come to an agreement when it came to negotiating a deal for someone's story. At least ever in 20th Century Fox history. So apparently they got the guy who wrote, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy who wrote the screenplay for Milk, which was the Sean Penn movie about Harvey Milk, which Sean Penn won, which this writer won an Oscar for best screenplay. Okay. They put him on it and he met with Colton and discussed things. And they put Robert Zemeckis, yes, the director of the Back to the Future trilogy, the director of Forrest Gump, they put him to direct it. Now, all of this was negotiated with the intention of paying back restitution to his victims who he stole from. Now, it didn't all the way pay them back, but I've had conversations with him since that conversation on this channel, which you can view and watch. And he stated that he still hasn't, that still didn't cover the damages. And he is working every day, hustling to try to get all of that paid back. This is somebody who is staying out of the public eye and merely working to do right by his victims. This is the opposite of what JLR does. This is the example of somebody who is reformed. So no, do I believe that JLR is reformed? Absolutely not. And the reason why I say that is because JLR's actions are consistent with the person that went to prison in the first place. Simple. Colton Harris Moore's actions are not consistent with the person who went to jail in the first place. Colton Harris Moore is an example of someone who learned from his mistakes and learned also about himself in the sense that, yes, I am a brilliant person. And yes, it does take ambition to do the things that I did. And I'm going to apply it in a positive manner and put it towards making my immediate environment better. And nobody wants to see a movie about JLR. Educated opinion. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. So all of this, I mean, let's just pick one out of a hat as we normally do, folks. Oh, wait, he's live right now. Unless he just ended it.
Yeah, look about the one-legged man. Hello, all. Hello, Karmic Circle. We're gonna play this clip right here. So we're gonna listen. I'm gonna put the phone down a little bit here, and we're gonna listen to this conversation Alec Murdaugh had behind bars.
Hey, how you doing? I'm good. How you doing? Good. Hey, Lizzie, what information do you have to put money on candy?
I don't have to put any. I mean, I got the website. So I can re-up it.
No. Here's what I'm really asking. You remember me telling you about the guy, Clarence, he's called a runaround. He's got it, dug all the stuff. And
Clarence.
He's got to help you get books and all that.
Yeah, the one-legged man.
That's right. And scurries around the wheelchair. I mean, he does so much for me. I'd like to give him a little Christmas present. The only thing I can give him is some money on his canteen, and I'm trying to figure out what you would have to put a little bit of money on his account. What information you would have to have?
I would need to know like his number.
Okay, that 6-digit number.
Yeah, that 6-digit number, and then I would. Well, what is his full name?
Like first and last or full name?
Probably just first and last.
And his name is Clarence Hare, like Har.
And C.
Is present. Clarence Hare, the one-legged trustee.
So,
Clarence Hare.
So somehow this is suspicious
Clarence.
behavior that Alec Murdaugh wants to transfer money into somebody's account there. Somehow that's suspicious. Now, maybe he's being shaken down for that. Who knows? Who gives a fuck?
Clarence Hare, everyone.
What does that have to do with anything?
That is the one-legged trustee. When you've been hearing those clips that say Clarence, that is Clarence. But Clarence is known as something in the Low Country area. He has a
Low
nickname,
Country.
matter of fact. Clarence has a nickname. According to the media and law enforcement.
What's his nickname?
Crime Stoppers tips help identify wheelchair bandit.
Wow.
The wheelchair bandit. Interesting.
Why is that interesting?
A man identified as the wheelchair bandit by law enforcement officials has been identified thanks to Crime Stoppers tips. Officials at the K Department of Public Safety said they are looking for Clarence Edward Hare, Hair, in connection with a shoplifting incident at Burke's outlet stores in Case.
And I find that really funny because I saw somebody in the chat say, he's going to piss off the wrong person. He's absolutely going to piss off the wrong person. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. But I find it really funny that he doesn't give a fuck. He's pissing off people who are clearly known for being irrational. Very interesting.
Authorities say the man shoplifted several items out of the store but left his wheelchair behind during the escape. If you have any information about Hare's whereabouts, contact Crime Stoppers. This is the man Alec Murdaugh wanted to send money to on his account. Clarence Hare. Alex said, out of the kindness of your heart. Now, imagine this guy. Imagine you go into the prison for the first time and you bump into this guy.
Imagine that guy. Imagine that guy bumping into you on the outside because somebody told him that you were up here doxing him and talking about him. Imagine that.
And he says, yo, give me your commissary. I want money on my books.
Now, how do you know that's even what happened?
You're going to do what I say.
You see what I'm saying? He's already jumping to the conclusion that this guy is muscling him for money when you don't even know the circumstances of which this dude is giving up. Maybe he's giving him fucking harmonica lessons, for fuck's sake. For all you know, this guy is giving Alec Murdaugh harmonica lessons and he's paying him for it. For all you fucking know. So now you're accusing the guy of extortion. Smart move, dude. Real good. I love it.
Or do you see this guy being your friend in jail? Just an average friend. Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Hi, how are you?
Maybe. What?
My name's Clarence, the wheelchair bandit. I'm starting to think it's not a friendly thing. Holy Canteen Batman.
People, he just said Holy Canteen Batman out loud. Second, dude, just keep in mind, all I did was click on this shit. Like I said, I picked these fucking things out of a hat. All I have to know is that this guy is fucking doing something on YouTube, and I know it's something ridiculous. Asinine. Completely asinine. This is just fucking great.
Batman says OXOXO. OXXO.
Oh.
Holy Canteen. But it gets worse, people, because I pulled up Clarence's rap sheet.
Oh, good idea, buddy.
VA, been verified. Now, I'm sure you guys used Been Verified, and I'm sure you people used Truth Finder and all these
they're not
databases to look people up.
They're not going to sponsor you, bro. Stop
Clarence has over 100 pages of rap sheet.
Kind of like Betty.
100 pages, literally, of rap sheets. And when I say over 100 pages, I'm serious. Well, actually, he has 96 pages of rap sheets. 96 pages. 96 pages of rap sheets.
Dude, your
Literally,
lawsuits
he
are
has
longer than
tons. This is a Been Verified Clarence Edward Hare. You know, his history.
The bullshit lawsuits you filed are more than that. What are you talking about?
And then it goes right into possible criminal and traffic records. And he has 100 pages. Of rap sheet. Charges all over South Carolina. Page after page after page after page.
Page after page.
Some of them could be repeated offenses. Again, for people that just jumped on, we're going to play this clip again to kind of catch people up to speed. Jailhouse tapes. Alec Murdaugh behind bars in jail talking to Liz Murdaugh, John Marvin's wife.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. Hey, Lizzie, what information do you have to put money on Candy?
I don't have to put any. I mean, I got the website. So I can re-up it.
No. Here's what I'm really asking. You remember me telling you about the guy, Clarence, he's called a runaround. He's got it, does all the stuff, and he's got to help you get books and all that.
Yeah, that one-legged man.
That's right. And he scurries around the wheelchair. I mean, he does so much for me. I'd like to give him a little Christmas present. The only thing I can give him is some money on his canteen, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what
he does so much for me. Okay, that could mean anything. That could mean literally anything. Cadillac gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Wow, you're crazy. You were doing so much today. Appreciate that. Let's see. Perfectly Imperfect was gifted a membership. Congrats. So was B Legend. So was J Lord, Maxine Young, and Rick. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Welcome, guys.
you would have to put a little bit of money on his account? What information you would have to have?
Oh, I would need to know, like, his number.
Okay, that 6-digit number.
Yeah, that 6-digit number. And then I would, well, what is his full name?
Like first and last and full name.
See, that's his logic.
Probably just first and last.
His logic is that if you're in prison and you're giving somebody money, it's so that they don't hurt you. He's shaking his head, sitting there going, "Oh man." Like, just because JLR, just because you ate the dick in prison and probably had to fucking give somebody money so that you didn't have to, it doesn't mean that that's the case for everyone else. It doesn't mean that just because this guy has a long rap sheet, it doesn't mean that he's muscling money out of somebody in prison. It doesn't mean that at all. Like, I don't know why you automatically jump to this conclusion. It's very, very funny to me.
And his name is Clarence Hare, like H-A-R, but I'll get his number.
Let me, if you can hang on 1 second, I can go down to my computer.
It's sad because I can tell you straight up right there, other inmates do not get other inmates Christmas presents unless you're really close with that inmate. When I say close, I mean you're talking about lovers. Oh yeah, just send money. Hey, call your loved one. I want to give this other inmate a Christmas present. Are you kidding me? You can't be serious. But
just because you gave up that little mouth of yours, it doesn't mean that everyone else is.
What's sad is Alec Murdaugh used John Marvin's wife to have that done because she seems like she has no clue and just does what Alec says. Oh, sure. I just need his inmate number and I need his full name.
Yeah.
Clarence Hare, H-A-I-R. I wonder how much money Alec Murdaugh's family.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. H-A-I-R, like what you can't grow on your face.
Whether it's John Marvin, Liz Murdaugh, any other Murdaughs, Buster, how much money they sent to other inmates' accounts. Because that's not that's not just to buy someone a Christmas present.
How do you know? Could be.
That is either, and some people are saying in this chat, D-O-P-E, D-R-U-G-S, drugs.
Could
dope.
be. Yeah, could be. Could be that Alec Murdaugh is buying some smack because he's known for being a fucking smack fiend. So, could be that's exactly what he's doing.
Oxys, pain medicine, narcotics, protection.
But you're blasting this dude. See, this is what I find really funny. You're blasting this dude as either an extortionist or a drug dealer. Smart. Real smart.
Intimidation, just to do it because you're forced to do it. Favors. Scott Watts says, a con man can con a con. He's definitely fooling Liz. Liz is like, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say. I'll do whatever you say. This is the one-legged trustee. AKA the wheelchair bandit. So that's the second guy. That is the second guy. Don't want to make this a racial thing, but opposite race. Two guys. Not of the same race as Alec Murdaugh. That Alec got his family to send him.
Wow.
Commissary. First, it was Justin Lewis. That two guys. The wheelchair bandit. So that's the second guy. That is the second guy. Don't want to make this a racial thing, but opposite race.
Oh.
Two guys.
Okay.
Not of the same race as Alec Murdaugh. That Alec got his family to send him. Commissary. First, it was Justin Lewis.
Wow.
We're going to have some tasty cakes together because I am hungry. Nobody bakes a cake better than a tasty cake.
Bro, shut the fuck up. This guy just fucking was like, I don't want to be racist, but followed by some racist ass shit. I don't want to bring race into it, but I'm going to say some racist ass shit. Wow.
Literally, these things are the bomb. I got these at Wawa. All this commissary talk makes me hungry. This is all the bomb. Family to send him commissary. First, it was Justin Lewis. We're going to have some tasty cakes together because I am hungry. Nobody bakes a cake better than a tasty cake. Literally. No.
I love my tasty cakes. Look it. I got tasty cakes. I got treats because I ate all my dinner, and I got these things. And my mom almost bought Little Debbie's, but I don't like Little Debbie's because the tasty cakes taste way better because they got the frosting on the top. Hold on. I gotta get it open. Hold on. Look at how, I got, because they're kind of like the Zingers, and I like the Zingers because they have the Charlie Brown on them on the pack, but tasty cakes, they taste way better because they're tasty. I think they're really tasty. Look, hold on, I'm gonna eat it, but you can't eat yours. If you have tasty cakes, you don't get to eat them because I'm gonna eat mine, and I want you to watch me eat my watch. These tasty cakes are so good. It's good. They don't have Charlie Brown and Linus, but they got sugar, and I like sugar. I like sugar a lot. You're my favorite tasty cake. You're my favorite. See, you don't have tasty cakes. I have tasty cakes. Watch. Look. I'm gonna eat it. You watch. Watch me eat it. Watch. Because I was a good boy, and my mommy bought me tasty cakes. I'm a good boy. Leo, thank you. Glare, you crack me up. Laughing my ass off. But see, I wish they had the peanuts on them. Not peanuts like the kind you eat, but like Charlie Brown and Linus and Lucy. I got tasty cakes. You don't have the tasty cakes. You have to listen to me sing the song about how you don't have tasty cakes, but I have tasty cakes. Hold on, let me drink this with some milk. I wanted milk. It's not milk, it's coffee. Because my mom, because I'm hyperactive, she makes me drink coffee so I'm not bouncing all over the house. Because when you're hyper and you drink coffee, they say that it makes you calm, and it makes me, because my mom says that I drive her crazy, that I drive her up the wall. But I just like the taste of coffee as long as it has lots and lots of sugar. Lots and lots of sugar. And I love the tasty cakes.
Friend that I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Can you let them know that they're being played? With these send money on Alex's other, send money on other people's accounts.
Oh, that's smart. That's really
smart. They literally sent money to a wheelchair bandit.
See, that's real smart.
That has hundreds and hundreds of pages of criminal records.
So not only should you...
That's where the money's going to.
Not only should you be outing this person for whatever criminal activity they might be engaged in, right? But you're also telling people to snitch so that he doesn't get the money. So now you're like interfering with this guy's income in prison and how he probably survives in prison. You don't know what he spends that money on or what he needs it for. You don't have any idea what the fuck this dude, this wheelchair bandit, as you put it, needs that money for. You don't have any fucking idea, and you are fucking with that. Real smart, dude. I love it.
That's where maybe some of the victims' money on Alex Murdaugh's schemes and scams. That's where their money's going, to this one-legged bandit.
Wow.
The one-legged bandit. Let's read his arrest, shall we? Shoplifting. Found guilty, bench trial. Shoplifting in 2015. There's just so many. Another shoplifting. 2016.
Oh my God, dude.
What
you
is this?
are so dumb.
Felony value $2,000 or more theft. General Sessions. 2015. Use of a vehicle without permission with intent to deprive. Never even heard of that type of charge. What type of charge is that? Clarence Edward Hare, the man Alec Murdaugh wants to send money to, because it's, he wants to help him out on Christmas, right? Use of a vehicle without permission with intent to deprive. Another shoplifting charge. Let's go on. Oh, assault and battery, first degree.
Oh, wow.
Status pending, according to
Ooh. It's so interesting that he's been charged with assault and battery, which would indicate that he's a violent person. So I'm just going to continue fucking with his money. Smart. I love it.
Verified, it's pending. So thus far,
now, when you're doing this to somebody who's already in prison, okay, you have to assume that with their charges and how many they have, they're going to get out at some point. Okay. And word could easily get back to this guy and his loved ones or family or friends. You don't know what kind of connections he has on the outside. You don't have any fucking idea what kind of reach this guy has. And here you are fucking with this dude's money. And however he's choosing to survive in prison. And he's obviously seasoned. Okay. As my friends Hannibal and Monty would put on their shit show, seasoned or unseasoned. The dude that they're fucking with, based on his rap sheet, the dude that he's fucking with, definitely seasoned. Definitely seasoned. And not to be trifled with. And you're fucking with his money. Dude, what are you thinking? And so now it's confirmed that he is very capable of being violent. And you're fucking with his money.
Shoplifting, unauthorized use of a vehicle, assault and battery in the first degree. Let's go on. Let's see his charges. Failure to stop for a blue light, no injury. That's not that bad, right? A lot of
it wouldn't be hard to find the guy.
Actually got a vehicle infraction in 20-something years.
It wouldn't be found. It wouldn't be hard.
Probably why my insurance is only like $45 a month.
It wouldn't be hard to find this guy. It just simply wouldn't be.
I pay $45 a month for insurance.
Bro, nobody gives a fuck how much you pay for insurance.
Because I don't catch speeding tickets. But that $45 a month I pay is probably because of other people's nonsense that jacks everybody's rates up. Once you get one knucklehead,
I love this.
That keeps wrecking and getting in crashes. Everyone gets affected, right? They pass it along to everyone. Everyone has to suffer.
Right. Like you playing with litigation and the system in litigation didn't fuck with everybody. Like, really, dude? You're sitting here and you're talking about how people getting in wrecks is the reason why you have to pay fucking a whopping $45 a month for car insurance. Yet you know, you don't get to sit there. I mean, you don't think that litigation rates were affected by people like you? Wow.
I don't have a new vehicle.
Litigation insurance rates, I mean, by the way.
I'm not a proponent. I'm not a fan of new vehicles. Reason being, because I don't want to pay full insurance.
Right.
I do have a problem with the insurance companies.
Jackie Garnett, member for 6 months of effing with the Murdochs and a wheelchair bandit. Exactly. Shaking my head. Exactly.
Racket. For another discussion. That's a really good rate for living in Florida. It is.
Yeah.
They're rewarding me for my good driving. So Clarence.
And yet you're still bitching about it.
Failure to stop for a blue light. Let's see what other charges he has.
Failure to stop for a blue light.
He's getting arrested all over the place. Olympia, Beaufort, Columbia, driving under suspended license, DUI. Another shoplifting, 3rd degree or more. I don't know what that means. Maybe because he has so many shoplifting cases.
Yeah, dude. I just can't with this motherfucker.
Grand larceny.
Dude, he even eats like a child.
Value more than $2,000, but less than $20,000. Richland County. Grand larceny. Criminal conspiracy. I'm literally reading this guy's record. I'm only on page 24 of 104 arrests. Oh, he has a grand larceny that got dismissed. Oh, he beat his case. That's where the defenders of him on this thread will say, "Well, but he beat his case." Driving while under suspension. I don't get people like that, right? You lose your license because of your own negligence or you got numerous vehicle infractions. Then you put other people's lives on the line by continuing to be greedy and selfish and go out there and continue to drive and put other people's lives in danger.
I love the
Obviously,
moral.
You lose your license for a reason.
I love the moral high ground here. Love the moral high ground here. It's so funny because here he is talking and criticizing and saying, "Oh, well, the defenders of this guy will say, well, he beat that case." Like, dude, that's exactly what your buddy BHB tries to say about all of the charges that she has. Now, nevertheless, those charges are there, and you don't rack up that many charges unless at least some of them are true. That's the whole reason why any of us who review Battery Betty, any of us who do, well, it's because there's so many. It's not a coincidence. It's not, she's not a victim of circumstance. This is somebody who has constantly gotten arrested to the point to where you could see the evolution in her mugshots. Eventually, her mugshot goes from to. So you can see the evolution of not giving a fuck and getting used to being arrested in Battery Betty's mugshots. It's fucking hilarious to me. And then this dude is criticizing this wheelchair bandit guy for anybody that would defend him for saying that he beat the charge, which is really, really funny.
Because you're not responsible and you fail to, take the proper measures to work to get your license back by taking driving classes and driving safe. Yet you totally give the middle finger to the law and say, I'm going to drive anyway. Who does that? Selfish, greedy people. People under the influence. People that don't learn their lesson.
You do that. What are you talking about? You do that.
Before I even leave.
You do exactly that. I'm going to continue to victimize people regardless of evidence and talk about evidence, but I'm going to continue to make innocent people's lives miserable. I mean, this dude's unbelievable.
Out of my driveway, I do put the seatbelt on. Click it or ticket. You ever see those signs all over the highways? Click it or ticket. I take that very seriously. Now, sometimes when I'm filming and I'm coasting a little bit on back roads or whatever, I might take the seatbelt off. Some of my videos, you might hear the ding, ding, ding. The seatbelt.
Riveting.
Alert button.
Absolutely riveting.
That goes on. But I think it's important for all of us to wear our seatbelts. Can we all make that commitment to wear seatbelts? Yeah, you don't want to be like Don Wells, like Justin Jane said. Don Wells.
What?
While your daughter's missing, then you go catch a DUI and get pulled over and have a gun in your car.
I mean,
after having 40 other years of records.
Not I'm not defending Don for getting those charges, but at the same time, you don't know what it's like to have a daughter missing, JLR, so you don't get to judge him for that. Simple. And you're nobody to judge.
Off and on. Enhancement for third or substance offense, subsequent events, $2,000 or more. Possession of cocaine.
Uh-oh. It's like he's reading
shoplifting.
Betty's fucking. It's like he's reading Betty's.
Another shoplifting. Felony shoplifting. Possession of concealed sell or dispose of a stolen vehicle. Clarence is racking up those charges. He's racking up those charges. For people that are just jumping on, Clarence Hare is the guy that Alec Murdaugh had his John Marvin's wife send money to. She's literally sending money
to
a guy that has over 100 arrests.
So what?
Or 100 pages of arrest records.
Listen.
On his been verified.
Dude, listen. If anybody, okay. If I have a bunch of money, right? If I have a lot of money, an abundance of money, and a loved one of mine is in prison, and I choose to think whether or not I believe them or I don't believe them or whatever, doesn't matter. But if I have a loved one in prison who I feel like, let's say my son, I don't know what the case would be, but let's say, for instance, if my son ended up in prison, or if I was married and loved somebody and then she ended up in prison, for whatever reason, I don't know what the circumstances would be, but I don't find it hard to believe that if that person were to call me on the phone and say, hey, this would really help me out if you were to deposit money into this person's commissary. It would really be helpful to me. Then I would probably do it. You know, if it's somebody who I don't hate and I still care for, and I'm worried about their well-being in one of the worst places that you could ever be on the planet, well, then yes, I'm going to try to help them out if I can. This guy criticizing his family for caring about him and trying to help him, it's just amazing to me.
Alex failed to, let, his family know this when they see him the money. Oh, yeah, Alex just wants to send it out of the kindness of his heart. Let's listen to him again. New people jump on. Let's go again. Let's repeat the process. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Is he playing it again?
Good. Hey, Lizzie, what information do you have to put money on Candy?
I don't have to put any. I mean, I got the website. So I can re-up it.
No. Here's what I'm really asking. You remember me telling you about the guy, Clarence, he's called a runaround. He's got it, does all the stuff, and he's got to help me get books and all that.
Yeah, that one-legged man.
That's right. And he scurries around the wheelchair. I mean, he does so much for me. I'd like to give him a little Christmas present. The only thing I can get.
Hacko said Jimbo Jones is a fuck face or a dick face. Did you say dick face or fuck face? Dick face. Hacko said nope, dick face.
Giving us some money on this canteen, and I'm trying to figure out like what you would have to put a little bit of money on his account. What information you would have to have.
Oh, I would need to know like his number.
Okay, that 6-digit number.
Liz.
Yeah, that 6-digit number, and then I would. Well, what is his full name?
Like first and last or full name?
Probably just first and last.
And his name is Clarence Hare, like H-A-R. But I'll get it.
At this point, he's just harassing this guy. Do I necessarily feel sorry for him because he's in prison? That's a stretch. But at the same time, I definitely don't feel bad for JLR if this dude ends up taking action. He's doing it to himself. I don't approve of it, but I mean, I'm not going to be dumb enough to sit here and do what JLR is doing. That's for sure.
His number.
Let me, if you can hang on 1 second, I can go down to my computer.
Liz. Dude, what is wrong with his family? Sounds persuasive, right? But whose money was being sent to Clarence's books?
Bro, who dresses like that, dude?
Because remember, when Alec was in jail and Buster and John Marvin were out there in Vegas, people were wondering that Buster was out there gambling the victim's money away.
Dude, I bet you this dude, when he was like in a mental institution, that he had a team of experts fucking looking over his file and shit. Like he had a team. I guarantee you. Like this, look at him. Just fucking look at him, bro. They're like, this is fucking hilarious to me. Just look at him.
Victims that were scammed by Alec. But while he's sitting in jail, and he claims Clarence does a lot of things for him and does favors for him, send money to Clarence's books. Send it to his account. The man that got hundreds and hundreds of arrests.
Yeah, so do most of the people in prison,
One-legged bandit. Just like Justin. Remember Justin? He's still scamming.
So that's great. That's great logic right there. I love that shit. I love that shit. Team Brittany, thank you so much for your canteen. Thank you. Yeah, I love that shit. So he's sitting here talking about this dude. He's like, yeah, real smart. Somebody with this rap sheet that you're gonna send money to. Like, he's in prison. So what do you do? Like when somebody that you're going to give money to in prison, you're like, well, hold on a second. Let me think about that. I got to do a little homework. I got to find out what his rap sheet's like before I give him money, because if he's got a long rap sheet versus a short one, I got to find out what his offenses are before I give him money. No, dude. Like, and even if it's the case where this dude is like, give me money if you don't want me to facilitate a fucking train fucking you in the shower, give me money. Even if that's the case, you're not going to sit there and go, let me look up what maybe he's in jail for. Like, what? Leslie Kohler, thank you so much. Gifted 5 more memberships. I appreciate that. Let's see. Lockpicking Gal was gifted a membership. So was Merit. So was Marit. KD, Murica, Firefly. Thank you so much for that. Welcome, guys.
He's still scamming. Unless it's a drug addiction. A lot of you guys in this chat said drugs.
Scamming
It's for
who?
drugs or protection. I mean,
scamming who?
Let's look at the one-legged bandit again. This guy's kind of intimidating. Clarence Harris.
Yeah, I say he's pretty intimidating. That does not look like
What
a
do you
happy
think?
person. That does not look like somebody you want to fuck with. Right there. Why are you fucking with him?
Ear safety. Sherilyn Monroe said ear safety. And Intercessor Susana, I'm sorry if I don't say your name right, has a good point too. He put a lot of people in prison. And that's something we discussed too, because Alec Murdaugh's family, pedigree, were lawyers and prosecutors, solicitor. So some of these old timers, they call them old heads, that are sitting in the county jail, have been through the system for the last 20, 30 years. They just get recycled. Maybe they do petty crimes and they just get, these little 6-month stints, get back out, do a crime, whatever. One of them down the line might have went to jail or prison because of Alec Murdaugh's family or his connections. And they know that. So Alec enters the jail and they're like, yo, your pop put me in prison. You're going to pay up. You're going to pay up. I want $60 on my commissary ASAP or you got to check in. Prison, they call it checking in. They say you check in. Check in. When I say check in, it means you check in to go to the hole. You either pay or you're going to the hole. You either going to pay to be out on this compound or you go to the hole.
What? Now I realize he understands prison lingo.
Let's go back to it. Because there was just so many of
them. And he's probably not wrong. You know what I mean? It's just really irresponsible of him to be airing all of that shit out and accusing somebody who's already in jail of a crime, because he's going to get out at some point. And if somehow this guy gets extra charges, not only is that going to fall back on Alec, but it's going to fall back on him, because the word is going to get out, okay, that this guy is the reason why heat was brought onto him in the prison. It's just, I mean, it's common sense.
It was just so many. Possession of crack cocaine, possession of stolen vehicle. We'll go backwards. Dude has been getting in trouble since the 90s. Resisting officers. I don't even know what that is. Is that law enforcement officers, jail officers, Richland County? Possession, selling, disposing of stolen vehicle.
See, this is a guy who probably knows a lot more about prison than JLR. This is a guy who, if he's correct, has been in and out of jail and prison since the 90s. Okay? That's a lot of time. It's a lot of experience to have in prison. That means that this guy knows how to get word out, but he also knows how to get word in. Guaranteed. I mean, insane. Cadillac, thank you so much. People are crazy, man. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I really appreciate it. Wow.
Possession of crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Possession of ice. Crank. Clarence had crank. Possession of stolen weapon. Felony, pled guilty to grand theft, $5,000 or more. It's just charges after charges after charges.
Not-
Hair, H-A-I-R, Clarence
not
Hare.
to be
Google him
trifled
right
with.
now. Again, I hope Alec Murdaugh's family is watching this.
I hope
so they
are
can
too.
see firsthand how they're getting played and bamboozled by the master scammer, convicted murderer.
They're not getting played or bamboozled, dude. Like, they're not looking at this and going, oh my God, JLR, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. None of them are doing that. They're simply of the mindset of this person that's in our family is in prison and we want to be able to help them in any way we can. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's up to you. That's fine, but that's clearly what it is. They're not getting bamboozled and hoodwinked. They're not being ripped off. He's straight up asking for money to make his time in prison more comfortable on whatever level that is. But that's exactly what he's doing. This is not a dude who's snaking people out of money. He's asking his family for help because he's in the worst fucking place on earth.
Manipulator, scammer. I mean, see, hearing the jailhouse conversations with Liz, it seems like she's generally a nice person.
Now, he's not wrong about Alec Murdaugh being a manipulator and a scammer. I agree with that. You know, like he's the guy's a thief. He's admitted to being a thief.
Is she getting manipulated by Alec? Is Alex?
He's also
going
convicted murderer.
We don't know what conversations, if at all, Alec is having while he's sitting in prison. He could have the same sort of conversations and be talking to Liz, John Marvin, Brooklyn, Buster, you know, the network of them. That's the four he actually mentions a lot in most of these audio tapes. Are they sending money to other inmates? And if they are, this should be a wake up. But maybe they see this and they don't care. They're like, I don't care. Long as nobody touches our guy.
Chances are that's the case.
Money's the only thing that's really going to save Alec Murdaugh in prison.
Yeah, and he has it.
But will that well dry? Will the well eventually dry?
And what do you care?
What about Stephen Smith? What's going to happen with that? Because there's new information coming out in regards to Stephen Smith. Article out today. CNN. I'm actually going to share a CNN article.
Oh my God. Not a liberal media source.
Stephen Smith, because I say this because Alec Murdaugh or his family members or someone in his inner circle could be held accountable for Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith's body will be exhumed for private autopsy. Family says almost 2 years after Murdaugh case prompted.
Jackie Garnett, thank you so much. He's already on their radar for Buster and girlfriend stalking. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Did you super chat earlier and I missed it? I think maybe you did. If you did, I apologize. Yeah, I think I got it here. Yeah, here we go. Impossible to have volumes of lawsuits, charges between you and BHB, to be honest. I love you, Will. Love you too. Thank you so much.
Renew scrutiny. So the Murdaugh case opened up a whole can of worms. And there's Stephen Smith's mom. Rest in peace. This young man was only 19 years old. Nursing student. Mystery. What happened to him? Found on the side of the road near the Murdaugh home. July 8th, 2015. Found. Coroner says, oh, it was a hit and run. But no evidence of any tire tracks or markings or glass or anything. Just found on the side of the
Now, what he's saying is true as far as the details. I want to be clear about something. After having looked into the death of Stephen Smith myself, yeah, I'm going to say that I think he was murdered. Absolutely. Definitely foul play involved. For sure. I didn't talk much about it before because I didn't know much about it at all. But I also watched a video on the Stephen Smith death that was made by Profiling Evil, Mike King. Great video, absolutely great. Now, when somebody like him says that he suspects that there was definitely foul play, I believe it. But at no point has any credible person said that they suspect anyone in particular for it. Okay? At no point in that video did Mike King say that he suspects Buster or anybody else. Just clearly that there should be an investigation in regards to that. And they have reopened this investigation. He feels that it should never have been closed under those suspicious circumstances, because even if it was a hit and run, a crime took place. A murder took place. If it was a hit and run, then a murder took place, and there's no logical reason as to why it was closed. So, yeah, as far as what JLR is talking about, as far as that goes, sure, I'm with him on that. But to automatically point fingers at any particular family member without any evidence, it's irresponsible. It's absolutely irresponsible. Yeah, I don't think it was a hit and run either, Leslie Kohler, if I'm being honest.
Side of the road. 4 a.m. I was out there. It's next to a house with 2 cats that I fed. I gave these cats some hard-boiled eggs from the Holiday Inn. What happened to Stephen Smith? You just don't exhume a body for no reason, even though it was, and I'll read on this.
You do exhume a body if a proper investigation had not taken place. Porter Landrum, thank you so much. Welcome. Now, if you guys are wondering why I can't highlight the memberships, all of the memberships, for some reason in StreamYard, if it's a member, if you become a member for more than 1 month, or gift memberships, it does not show up in the StreamYard for me to be able to highlight, but I do see them if I can glance over and catch them on my YouTube. Like Jones in here is, thank you so much. Welcome to Logic. But yeah, this dude is a fucking stalker, dude. That's all he is. And he's trying to glorify himself by buying merch made for him to wear that say press.
This article. The body of 19-year-old found dead in the middle of South Carolina Road in 2015 will be exhumed.
Okay, yeah.
His family announced.
He was saying you don't just exhume a body. No, you don't. But you do when a murder investigation didn't take place before, and now those questions are being raised as to why. And yeah, if they didn't think that there were suspicious circumstances, they probably didn't look for any evidence in regards to that prior to his burial. And yes, of course, the mother of Stephen Smith is gladly going to allow you to exhume his body, I would assume, if she wants a proper investigation into her son's death. So yeah, it's standard to exhume his body under these circumstances. The very least, I would hope that they would exhume his body to properly investigate. But I don't imagine how much they'll actually find. Perfectly Imperfect member for 1 month. Welcome to Logic. Cherry, just wanted to try it. Thank you. I appreciate
Announced
that.
last week, almost 2 years after state authorities reopened a probe into his death based on information learned while investigating the murders of Margaret Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh. The family of Stephen Smith has raised about $60,000 to put towards a private
Welcome,
autopsy
Firefly.
in what his mother
Thank you.
described on a GoFundMe page as a fight for justice. Stephen Smith's family wants justice.
Of course they do.
And they gathered information from the Maggie and Paul Murdaugh case. I could not have imagined when we began this fundraiser that it would take off the way that it did, Sandy Smith wrote. Thank you for not allowing Stephen's story to be swept under the rug. We will pursue the exhumation or exhumation.
Exhumation. JLR, bro, listen, dude. You're just because. Now, this is what I love. I think this is fucking hilarious to me because this guy thinks that through his antics that he somehow has played a role in this investigation into Stephen Smith's death. He thinks that he's played some sort of role into that, into the body being exhumed and the reopening the case in general. No, dude. No, this is something that they were going to do anyway, considering all of the newly developed facts that have presented themselves from the Alec Murdaugh trial. That's all that is. You had nothing to do with that. You're jumping on a bandwagon and you're creating another bandwagon where you want Buster Murdaugh to be the person who is guilty of this crime when there's nothing to indicate that. Nothing at all. All that there is an indication of so far is that there is suspicious that Stephen Smith died under suspicious circumstances. Period. That's it. That's all we know so far.
Immediately and provide updates along the way. Authorities have not announced the connection between Smith's death and the Murdaugh family. Alex Murdaugh was found guilty earlier this month of murdering his wife and son at their rural estate. About 2 weeks after Maggie and Paul were killed, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, aka SLED, announced it was reopening the Smith investigation due to information gleaned from the murder case. SLED did not detail what that information was. SLED has made progress in the death investigation of Stephen Smith, the agency said in a statement to the media. However, this investigation remains active and ongoing, so it's not closed. It's not closed. It's not something that, hey, this has been settled. This has been 8 years ago. This, according to law enforcement, who's saying this to the media, the investigation remains active and ongoing.
Team Brittany, thank you again. Wow. Man, you guys are crazy. Thank you so much. Has the island of misfit toys noticed that JLR is missing yet? He desperately needs to be around his own kind. Thank you so much.
I actually went there to pay respect. Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith.
You didn't go there to pay respect, because if you went there to pay respect, you would not have streamed it or made a video there. You would have just simply paid respect, and you wouldn't feel the need to brag about it, because you showing up there with the camera and filming it and using it for content and then bragging about it the way that you are right now is literally disrespectful to the memory of this person. So that you claiming that you paid respects, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You did exactly the opposite of paying Stephen Smith respect. What?
And remember, folks, remember what the judge was saying with Alec Murdaugh case at the sentencing, saying that, there has been people that got the DP for much less than what you did.
Cherry, you get a one.
Shocked
You get a
that
pass.
more or less the prosecuting.
Cherry gets a pass for that. Let's have it.
Saying that, there has been people that got the DP for much less than what you did. Shocked that more or less the prosecutor, Creighton, didn't pursue the prosecution's office, didn't pursue the DP against Murdoch. So the judge was kind of like, yo, there's people that got the DP with, less. But what if Alec Murdoch is involved with Stephen Smith?
I'm such a child.
Which is a different county. Where Stephen Smith was found was in Hampton County. What if Alec Murdoch or someone affiliated with him are involved with the death of Stephen Smith and they get prosecuted?
Exactly, Team Brittany.
He could get the DP. Someone could get the DP on that. A prosecutor out of Hampton, or it might be a special prosecutor, might even be Creighton, who was great, by the way.
Oh my God.
Did you see his voodoo doll? Did you see Creighton? His voodoo doll? Let's see if I can find it.
Creighton has a voodoo doll? Ooh.
He held up a picture of some, or was it a voodoo doll? What was it? What are those things called?
Yeah, what are those things? Those things where you take a cutout of a mass murderer's face and put it on a stuffed animal and ride around singing to it. What do you call those things? Because I don't know if there's even a fucking name for it. But I wonder, what do you call those things, JLR? Interesting.
Let's see if I can find it. He posted on his own. I can't find it. Let's see. We might be able to find it.
I can't find it.
Creighton Waters. He posted something on his own Twitter. I thought it was pretty cool. It's like a boss move. Where are you, Creighton Waters? Oh, yeah, he does have a Twitter. Pretty popular guy. 35,000 subs.
Wow.
Look how cool this prosecutor is.
Of course.
Like, he's literally just like chilling. Yeah, I got that conviction. Now what? I beat Murdoch's lawyers. I beat the state senator. He's like, now what? What? But look, he posts this. It's like so my mom and dad surprised me with a fun gift at dinner last night. I have to admit, when someone first texted me a picture of the dolls, it was a completely unexpected and lighthearted moment in all the craziness. Dude, it looks just like him. It's like a knitted, I said a voodoo doll. It's not a voodoo doll.
Yeah, why the fuck would you say voodoo doll in the first place, you idiot? Bro,
the dude was a rock.
He even titled this shit Tasty Cake Talk.
Dude, the dude took on 2 high-profile attorneys. I have jailhouse tapes of also Alec talking to his attorneys. I'm gonna play that. Not now, not this.
I'm gonna play that.
But he took on a powerhouse attorney team and won. So let's hope if someone is ever held accountable.
That's usually what happens when you have enough evidence to convict somebody. It's usually what happens.
For Stephen Smith, that Creighton Waters prosecutes the case. Let's hope. I would want and love for Creighton Waters to prosecute more. I want to see more of them. And I hope the state of South Carolina gives that man a pay raise because he deserved it. He looked a little stressed. I saw him with his hands in his head, like during the trial because he was working his butt off. And Alex Murdoch's attorneys put on a good defense, I think, considering the circumstance.
Yeah, that's their job.
Prosecution won. Good always wins over evil, by the way.
Yes, we know that. That's why your time is limited on YouTube, my friend.
Most of the time. But they raised a GoFundMe. If you want to contribute to Stephen Smith's GoFundMe, his mom's GoFundMe, this is his mom's GoFundMe. They're trying to exhume the body. You can find it here. They went past their goal. They were seeking $15,000.
All right, shut up. All right, moving on. Yes. As I stated before, per example, that's not something that I planned on sharing. He went live earlier today. Okay. This was while I was live, he was live and doing this, what we just watched. As I said, the anti-Colton Harris Moore. This dude is not capable of any accountability, any self-awareness. He's incapable, it seems, of being able to contribute to his environment in a positive manner. He seems just like it doesn't even compute. He doesn't have the ingredients to do it. Very strange. Now moving on, there is this lady here. This lady here is very funny to me. Let me go ahead and share this. Okay, so somebody was a little butthurt about my live stream that I did covering and reviewing their content. That somebody would be by the name of Psychic Reverend, I already forgot her name, Psychic Reverend Donna Sore-Aphina. And Psychic Reverend Donna Sore-Aphina found it really important to share with me, just so I know, that she has a 90% accuracy rate, legally ordained spiritualist reverend, bachelor's degree and work history in criminal justice. My contribution to the Lori Vallow case actually put in court records, even though they never have psychics testify, and that's a pretty huge thing. And 3 family members murdered, and my family was actually in the news for a year, so I know that how that is, and a volunteer victim advocate for 8 years. So yeah, I'm helping on cases where the police publicly state that they do not have physical leads and they need help. You're a good-looking man. I think you could do better than insulting other people for your show. You're intelligent enough to get up out of the mud and do a real show. Now, my response is very simple. I said, the offer stands to anyone that I review on my channel. You're invited to join me on a live stream and convince my audience to believe. If you're so sure of the integrity in your content, sell it to us. Now, apparently she's a little thirsty as well. Won't hold that against her, but I mean, she felt the need to display her resume in my comment section of the video where I reviewed her. She felt the need to do that. Now, if she's so sure, again, Reverend Donna, okay, if you're so sure, again, of the integrity in your content, because she wants to claim that she was so accurate. Now, I still have to review the Daybell shit that she did. But dude, let's be fucking honest here, people. Who didn't think that these kids were likely buried in this pet cemetery on Chad Daybell's property? Anybody who followed that case had already figured this. The responsible people didn't say this out loud just yet because people wanted to have hope that these kids were still okay. But that dark place in all of our minds knew what happened to those kids and where they were. It doesn't take a psychic. I'm sorry, but you're not going to sit here and say the same thing everybody's fucking thinking and say it's because you're psychic and the spirit people told you. bullshit. Okay? Because you're sitting here saying that the psychic people told you that Brian Koberger took a shot glass or a baby jar, not a shot glass, a baby jar of blood from the victims in the Idaho slayings and use them to masturbate, use the blood to masturbate. What kind of a sick fuck comes up with that? And when you're wrong about this, because I'm willing to bet that you are, when you're wrong about this and there's nothing about this that comes up in trial, you're going to be exposed for the fraud that you are. Now, here's the thing. This is somebody who always has to throw in, oh, well, you know, my family, I've had family members that were murdered and I'm a victim and blah, blah, blah. Fair enough. You are a victim if you've had family members murdered. And I feel for you in that sense. That's not okay. And I'm sorry that you went through that. But that does not justify you fucking with other victims' loved ones' feelings and giving them some sort of false something to hold on to by making up this crazy shit in your head and giving these gory, gruesome details of your fantasies, because that's what they are, to give these gruesome details of your fantasies for them to have to be further victimized and traumatized, because you're not helping anything. Now, here's the thing. Let's say she's accurate, right? Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt for a second. Let's just say that she is so accurate at what she says. All her readings are accurate. Why are you capitalizing off of them? If you're such a spiritual leader, right? Because I'd really like for you to come on this channel and defend it, because I want you to answer this question. And if you have any conviction, you'll answer this question. Why not do it in private? If it's for the sake of spiritualism and putting out something positive into the world, why are you taking these things that you are supposedly sharing with law enforcement as tips? Because law enforcement depends on what you say. They just don't publicly say so. But why just not be private in your interactions with law enforcement? Why traumatize these family members with these insane details in your fantasies? If you're such a good spiritual person and you're a reverend, you're a spiritual fucking leader, right? Why are you not simply sharing the stuff with law enforcement and doing it out of the goodness of your heart? Why are you making money off of it? And by stating that question and putting that out there into the spirit realm in the universe, I can hold on. I'm getting a reading from the spirit people. It's just the spirit people talking to me, folks. I predict that I won't hear a fucking thing from this person, and they will not show up on this channel to defend what they do. It's just the spirit people telling me this. Okay, folks? It's just the spirit people. It's not me. Okay? The spirit people have told me the future. And the future, there is no point where Donna will actually answer that question. That is the kind of question that she would absolutely avoid. Because if you're doing this from the kindness of your heart and you care about these victims, why aren't you sparing them the fucking details, the disgusting, gross details of what these spirit people are sharing with you? Why not spare them? Why not just submit it to law enforcement? Because I bet you'd have more credibility as a psychic to law enforcement that utilizes psychics if you did that. Because being a fucking kook on the internet does not help you with credibility with law enforcement. Anyways, guys, I love you guys very much. I had a blast with you. Thank you guys for all the likes. Thank you for all your support. You guys are crazy. You guys were super generous today, man. That was wow. But I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, a fantastic St. Patty's Day weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves and you were recovering well. And those of you who got to go to work tomorrow, I hope it's not too rough. I love you guys very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.